Hi, welcome to Northwest Outdoors. I'm producer Rick Spencer. On this program, we head up to British Columbia to go fishing for salmon. Join fishing host Hobart Mans up in BC.
Come on, baby.
Let him run. Just let him go. Let him take whatever he wants.
We got a hookup. We got a dandy. Look at it.
And then we go to Mardon near the Potholes Reservoir to go hunting for ducks with Bobo Brayton, the former coach of the WSU baseball team. Stay tuned. This is your Northwest Outdoors.
The old cougars.
Funding of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Sports Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Redmond Sports Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout the Northwest, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. We're above the coastline of Canada's British Columbia. Having just left Port Hardy on the northern tip of Vancouver Island, our destination is the salmon fishing waters of Rivers Inlet, some 80 miles northeast. Northwest Outdoors has been invited as guests of West Coast Resorts and the lodge at Rivers Inlet. The Grumman Goose touches down in the bay right outside the floating lodge. This area of BC is well known for big Tyee salmon, trophy fish that can weigh up to 60 pounds. Northwest Outdoors fishing host Hobart Mans spent a little time at Rivers Inlet Lodge to see if he can pull in his own Tyee salmon.
George, we've bumped into each other off and on for several years at the sports shows, kind of like passing as ghosts in the aisles. But I've always wondered what you did, and we got to become friends, and you invited us up to fish. Now, I'm in an area I know nothing about, and it would be very interesting if you could explain to me kind of exactly where we're at and what makes this place so special.
Well, as you know, we're at Rivers Inlet. We're currently about 350 miles north of Vancouver, BC, in what is commonly known as the central coast of British Columbia. Rivers Inlet, of course, is renowned for the large salmon that return here every year, and of course the excellent sports fishing opportunities with that. We've operated out of Rivers Inlet now for 4 years, and have found it to be a very productive fishery for both coho salmon and Chinook salmon. The average Chinook salmon, as we had mentioned before, is in the 30s, which is, you know, it's pretty tough to find too many places where you can boast that your average fish is in the high 30s, and also get lots in the 40s.
You have fishing instructors as opposed to guides. How does that work?
You know, a lot of people have been on fishing trips in the past where they're given simply a boat and a motor and the bait and see you later. And really, by the time a 5-day trip is done, it takes you 2 or 3 days to learn the area, and by the time you're figuring it out, it's almost time to go home. Others have been on guided trips where perhaps they would like to fish more than what's available in the guided time. You know, in summertime here, it's possible to fish 14, 15, 16 hours a day. What we've come up with is what I believe is the best of both worlds. That's the instructor program, where each one of our guests has 5 hours a day with one of our professional instructors. That gives them some instant expertise on the water, rigging techniques, how to net salmon, how to catch them, visual references of the area so you know where you're going, you know what you're doing right off the bat. That also gives the guests the freedom to venture out on their own after that for as long as they like. And of course, we furnish the boats and motors and all the appropriate tackle, and the guests can use those boats from dawn till dusk.
George, I just saw you do something, and I've been watching people for years and years and years and kind of collect ideas and techniques, but you've done something totally different in your herring preparation than I've ever seen. Would you explain it to me?
What I do, instead of just doing a regular cut on the bait, is just notch the top off at first on a bit of an angle, and then cut your standard cut across the face of it.
So you made a double face cut as opposed to a single face.
Yeah, like a double cut. One going across the top down to the backbone,
right?
And then the other one coming down to the belly.
And then you tag off this little tip up here.
Yeah, little tip, just to cut that off.
Makes it rounder and it doesn't want to dodge. And
that's right, almost makes it like a screw head, you might say. Changing the bait every 15 or 20 minutes is always a good idea.
You've got a fresh scent train out there, and it's what the fish would be smelling if he was looking for one that was injured.
Certainly. No, don't set it. Just let him take it. Let him take it. Okay.
Come on, baby.
Let him run. Let him run. Just let him go. Let him take whatever he wants.
We've got him hooked up. We've got dandy. Look at him take the line against that drag.
That's great, Hobart.
Come on,
fantastic.
Baby. What we've been waiting for. There is a certain rush that you get.
Oh, certainly.
When he starts cooking.
What a solid take. Just straight down.
Traditional. And that's where he's going too. Straight down and out. Look at that reel. That's the third or fourth one of those runs.
Let him take it. Let him.
Beautiful drag. Beautiful. Come on. Well, we're right at the moment. This fish is on a Loomis rod, which is very nice and we're all familiar with, but this is the first time I've ever gotten a chance to use this new Islander reel that they're making up here out of Victoria. And it is just wonderful. I didn't even break a thumb on it.
Not yet. Not yet. Doing a very slow troll in here amongst the boulders on the shoreline here. Really scraping bottom. Had that down about 12, 13 holes, which is really about 25 feet. And I believe at the time when we hit him, it was probably about, we weren't any deeper than 40 feet of water.
Yeah, it was. We just passed over a couple of bait balls on the screen there. And
that's right too. There were numerous bait balls that were in the bay here.
If there's any place where those fish are going to be, they're going to accumulate where lunch was. George, I know that this river is famous for its big fish, but what does the average fish up here grow?
Well, we found, Hobart, average size fish is probably in the mid 30s. We get lots in the 40s, numerous over 50 every year, and of course 60 pounders aren't too uncommon either.
Well, I have no idea what this would be, other than it's undoubtedly going to be a nice salmon.
Definitely a Chinook salmon.
If we can bring it to the boat, we'll both be happy. There's the ball. We'll get our first look at that critter. Uh-oh. And he's going to get his first look at us and say, I'm out of here.
Oh, beautiful fish over there.
Yes, he is. Chrome. Just beautiful. And he'll sit here and sulk for a few minutes. I think our neighbors over there just porked one up too. Just wonderful.
What a beauty. What a beauty.
Great job. It doesn't fit in the bag.
Brand new nets, a little smaller than I thought it was.
A little smaller. You're going to have to get a bigger bag for that, George.
A beautiful looking fish. Look at this.
Chromer. You said you knew where the fish were, and you were patient, and you stuck with it. And by golly, we porked one.
We did.
And that's what this whole thing was all about.
What a prize fish.
And it is a prize fish. And this is just an average fish up here.
Average fish that we see here is definitely in the 30s. However, you know, like we've seen this week, there's been many in the 40s even.
They can't get any nicer than that.
Not much nicer than this at all.
George, I have a question that I ask almost everybody that we go out with. And almost everybody has one or two. But if you had one tip to pass on to an angler, what would it be? Just one tip that would make his fishing better at Rivers Inlet.
I would say the shallower you fish, the better. In a lot of places, salmon are found from, say, 40 to 80, sometimes over 100 feet of water. Here, I had to get used to it when I first started fishing here. The fish are very shallow, you know, they're closer to the surface than what most people think. Typically, people like to center down about 40 feet, and it's you know, you've really got to keep it up within the top 20 to 30 feet of water, anyways.
You folks here in Rivers Inlet are doing something that we've heard about in the Northwest, and we're involved with hatchery programs. Wild fish are supposed to be supreme. Maybe hatchery fish are going to give us more fish to fish for. But you've developed a process up here where you're really getting the best of both, and you've got a hatchery program that, as we hear it down in South America, if you will, that is developing super runs of really big fish. Now, what is going on with that?
Well, the Rivers Inlet Hackeye Pass Sports Fish Association has been around for about 15 years now. It's comprised of the lodge and charter operators out of the Rivers Inlet Hackeye Pass area who have personally, through their guests and lodge owners, have financed this hatchery at the head of Rivers Inlet. With the particular brood in these rivers, it's important to help enhance them. As you know, we're talking 60, 70, sometimes 80-pound salmon coming back here. Well, one thing I noticed about the fish in this area, as far as the coloring of them, is you can see that the water is the top 6 or 8 feet is very silty from the rivers. When the fish come out of the water here, they're a real milky, greenish hue, and then just beautiful colors through them.
Back at the dock, everyone gets a chance to show off the day's catch. Some of the salmon, though, goes directly to the barbecue.
Trenton, you're going to show us this afternoon how to cook one of your special dishes. What have we got before us?
Oh, well, we're going to, what we're going to do is we've got a fresh piece of BC salmon here, and we're going to crust it with the cashews and some secret spices, and then we're going to lightly pan fry it, finish it on the barbecue, and put a little bit of teriyaki sauce, and there you go. It's pretty easy, actually. You know, it's we've got some lemon here. It's been marinating in some lemon, and we got a little olive oil in there, so that's good. So it's real simple. All you want to do is just really give it a good roll, eh?
Just crust it.
Oh yeah. It's a nice spring salmon. Okay.
Now we're going to put it.
We're using the barbecue tonight. Just lay that right in there. Nice low heat.
You're going to pan fry that until it's done clear through?
No, we're just going to lightly brown it on this side. You have to be careful with the nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're adding some color, some vegetables, or what, Trenton?
Yeah, we got the old balsamic vinegar and olive oil, but with fresh cracked pepper. And we also threw some pureed garlic on there. So while we're cooking, because the vegetables cook so quickly, it's actually roasting the garlic at the same time.
That sounds super.
You know?
We've got a sauce up here, Trenton. What are you doing there?
Oh, that's just a homemade teriyaki sauce. It's soya, water, pineapple juice, and brown sugar. What we've done is we've taken a cup of cashews along with some chili powder, garlic, and fresh black pepper, and ground them up in a Cuisinart. And then we've marinated the salmon in olive oil, lemon, and black pepper again.
Next time you barbecue a salmon fillet, why not try this great recipe? The floating lodge at Rivers Inlet is located in the pristine coastal wilderness of British Columbia. With ample wildlife and a unique location, it can make for an ideal fishing holiday. Here are some tips on how to spearfish from Earthwalk Northwest, the School of Primitive Living Skills.
Today I want to show you the technique of using a primitive tool called the spear to try to catch fish. When we're moving out in the water, we want to move very slowly. We don't want to twist or grind the gravel as we're moving along the bottom. We want to move very slowly and fluidly. Any fast, jerky movement will scare those fish. I want to look out into the water to spot the fish as I slowly move into position to shoot or to throw. So as I'm looking out there, I'm going to be getting the spear ready. And after I spot the fish, I'll slowly move into position, moving very slowly. I want to aim underneath the fish because of refraction, the way the light reflects in the water. So we want to shoot underneath that fish as we get ready to shoot. I want to slowly move into position, bring the spear in. I'm going to sight down along the spear, aim underneath it, and when I do throw, I want to throw with a real fast, quick jab, just like a heron would if it's fishing. Another important tip for you while you're spearfishing is you want to be patient. It's very important to be patient. Sometimes you have to wait for the fish to come along. And if you don't have patience, you won't get a lot of shots with your spear. I want to try to blend in with the background. I want to watch my shadow also so it doesn't reflect out into the water. That can scare fish. Usually where there's one, there's many. You can find another one that wasn't spooked by the missed shot. Continue your stalk. Move very slowly, nice and smooth. Line up. We can get into some different types of spear tips that you can make. This one here is out of bone. If you have good hardwood around there, you can make your heads out of hardwood also. That will work. This one here is more of a harpoon using an antler tine tip. Another bone tip here with the barbs, the same as this one here, and the same as this one here. Barbs to help hold the fish on. And our last one here is from wood. It's a good hardwood sapling, natural crook in the sapling itself with the tips carved right out of the wood itself. So remember, primitive fishing can be a great way to reconnect us with the wilderness, and it can be also a great way to get dinner for that evening. A couple more tips to get you on your spear fishing right is to select a straight sapling for your spear. Okay. Also your hardwood tips, make them hardwood. A locust or a maple would be great for your tips.
Spearfishing can feel very natural, but it is not legal everywhere. Frank suggests checking local regulations in your area before venturing out to spearfish. With decoys in place, duck calls pierce the quiet solitude on the waters of the Potholes Reservoir. Some 90 miles east of Spokane, the potholes are made up of hundreds of isolated sand dunes, making this location ideal for wintering ducks, as well as the many hunters that come to this area. We're with Dave and Mike Meisberg of Mardon Resort and the Duck Taxi Guide Service.
What we like to look for is a point of land that the birds can see from a long ways away. So we're kind of out on a little tiny island right here. And
1 o'clock birds, go ahead.
And what we like to do is we like to put a spread of decoys on the left and a spread of decoys on the right. And we like to leave this nice big open kill zone. And the way the wind's blowing, it's coming straight over our back. So theoretically, the ducks, when they come around, they like to come right into the wind. That way they got a little advantage when they go to get off. And so they're going to come right into this soft spot, we call it, right out here, this nice calm water right here. And it really works. It's fun. You make like landing strips coming down both sides, and it just forces the birds right in front so everybody can get some good shooting.
They've invited a group of friends to come out for a morning duck hunt. Along on the hunt is former Washington State baseball coach Bobo Brayton.
The old Cougars!
We're in a floating blind right now. What this floating blind does is kind of cool. It puts you about 10, 12 yards closer to all your shots. If we were back on the land right now, we'd be about 10 to 15 yards back, further back. So this sets you out right in the water, right in the decoys, and with a steel shot, if you can pick up 5 to 10 yards, it's really an advantage for killing the birds.
You know, you can move this blind, you say?
Oh yeah, it's really neat. It's got the stabilizers on it, so if all the birds, say, are coming in over here at the 3 o'clock into the blind and just those guys are getting the shots, we can just hop out and lift the stabilizers and just rotate the blind so it faces the direction the birds are coming. It works real slick. If you come out in the morning, the neat thing about the floating blind is compared to a land blind, you build it, you get it all brushed up, and you're pretty much stuck with it once you're out there. Go ahead, someone take him.
There's a nice. Wow! Is that a corn-fed one?
He's running empty.
He's running empty, huh?
No, it's corn.
Got corn in them, huh? That's good, boy. They fatten up in a hurry. 10 days on corn out of Canada, that'll be great birds.
Bobo, how many years have you been a duck hunter?
A duck hunter, oh my word. No, probably 50.
50.
Well, I was a bit of baseball coach. I never did play golf. I always said if you show me a golfer, I'll show you a lousy baseball coach. But there is time to go duck hunting.
What when you think about all those wonderful times, is there one memory that you think was your most enjoyable duck hunt?
Oh, we used to go to a place they called the Pumping Plant out south of Hera, out south of Wapto out there, and we used to, on a clear day when everybody was gone home, about 11 in the morning, these buggers would be way high, them big old drakes, you'd see them up there in the green, and we'd start blowing away on our old oat calls, just blasting, didn't even sound like ducks, and man, they'd make these great big circles and keep coming, come right down in, and calling them in, that's the thing, as you guys know, the kill's fine, but calling them in is the real fun, and I'll never forget those days. Those were super. One time over in Pullman, I had a guy by the name of Ike Dieter, who was a famous boxing coach there, and one morning I went down by Colton with him, and there's these guys never hunted with decoys, they would always jump shot, and I went in there from Yakima and started decoying them around. We went in this little spot, and the birds just poured in, and we got home and we had our limits, and I think they were probably 14 for both, and we had them out in the back of a pickup truck, and I said, boy, Ike, just like the old days, because Ike's still alive, he's about 97. I said, just like the old days, and he says, hey, Bobo, the old days weren't like this, because they were really pouring in that morning. I can always remember those times, but there's a lot of days, go out there and sit, and visit with your friends, have a good time. But, get ready, go, got some right there, easy.
We need some shooting here.
We get for listening to Bobo. You don't listen and talk in the blind, you hunt. What about the ducks here? You got a lot of corn here right now?
Well, this area the whole reservoir is perimetered with farming area. There's circles of corn right over here, 2 miles. Why we hunt here on Crab Creek is it's a main channel. It's big water hunting. And we're right in the middle of several different flyways, if you will. There's the Moses Lake city limits that are about 4 miles due north of here, and inside the city limits acts like a refuge because there's no shooting allowed. We have the North Potholes Reserve that's due west of us here. It's about 6 miles. Then we have the Frenchman's Lake Reserve that's about 9 miles off here to the southwest. And then on the other side of Royal Slope, there's Royal Lake that's a huge reserve on the National Wildlife Refuge. And then also the Hampton Lakes area in the National Wildlife Refuge holds tremendous numbers of birds. Three o'clock single, going away.
Right back in, see him?
Okay, see him guys on that end?
Decoys at 2 o'clock, you ready?
How about that? Nice shot on those. Wasn't a close shot, but it was a shot. What did we get, 2 of those?
Go online with Northwest Outdoors and learn all about this show, episode 1402, BC Salmon and Hunting with Bobo. Click on www.northwestoutdoors.org. Funding of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Sports Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Redmond Sports Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout the Northwest, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. Tune in for the next Northwest Outdoors and go to the John Day River in Oregon for smallmouth bass.
We've got 2 bass on one plug at one time. One of them's about 12 inches, the other's about 9.
Get a first aid tip on water treatment from the American Red Cross.
Although a clear mountain stream may look more inviting than the water comes out of your faucet and may even taste better, there's no guarantee that it's free of illness-causing viruses, bacteria, or parasites.
And learn how to cook grilled sturgeon from the Seafood School in Astoria, Oregon. That's all on the next Northwest Outdoors.
Another great recipe